Craig, why am I here?
Yeah, we don't normally record on whatever day this is.
This is the wrong day.
Yeah.
Is this Matt Mercer Day? Are
Yes.
we in limbo? What is
It
happening?
is Matt Mercer Day. Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
No. So we finally accepted the Matt Mercer top 10 then.
Yes.
No,
It's fine.
I
At the
found out
end.
that he's been cutting off the Matt Mercer top 10, so I have to start everything over again.
Oh.
Thank you for leaving that information in the comments, everybody. We'll start over the Matt Mercer top 10 later tonight.
Yeah.
Waples, actually, I did read this morning that he's going to be at MomoCon, so you should come down and make sure that you actually get all of his top 10s.
Okay.
Maybe get him sign your PHP yearbook too.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to get a new yearbook for MomoCon.
Oh, so that's not a yearbook; it's a con book. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe the Monster Manual or something.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, we're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay, joined with my co-host Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
I'm here.
All right. Hey, Christian, where can they find us on social medias and stuff?
You can find the Grumpy Dungeon Masters on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or on YouTube. You can also find us streaming on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings around 9 p.m.-ish Eastern Time.
Ish.
And ish.
Yeah. I'm always on time. What are you talking about?
Hey, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
Hence the ish. But that's not all. Because...
Oh, God.
the suspense is killing me.
Rolling into your Twitch stream like a natural 20 with the sound and the fury of a critical hit, bringing darkness and delight to your Dungeons & Dragons game is Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher's D&D Waterdeep Worldborn Dead campaign. Stay tuned for it. You won't want to miss it. If you like what you hear from us, if you like what you see when we stream, please leave us a like, leave a comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
Discord
geez.
clapping noise.
Yeah, I'll allow it this time.
All right. So we're still going over GaryCon stuff. But before we jump into that, I ran Adventures League this week.
Oh, God. What happened to the Kendi this week?
So the breakdown is that this was the finale of Keep on the Borderlands. We're gonna start Temple of Elemental Evil next week. So I had a finale planned out, and it went pretty well. The groups basically have been going through one of the dungeons, and I quartered off a dungeon for them to kind of go through to find an Orcus temple, to find the priest that had escaped them. Turns out it was an Oni in disguise. A lot of undead shadows, a lot of undead critters, evil priests, what have you. It was a very touch and go game. Like, we had two tables running, and I heard both tables lost players. My group was suffering a TPK. Okay, so as they were fighting, as they were kind of going into the final encounter, they had to fight a bunch of shadows, and it ripped them apart. I think the fighter got down to 5 strength by the end of the fight.
Oof.
Yeah, and we're pretty sure that the mage died. He wasn't keeping track of how much strength he was losing.
Oh my God.
Well, he didn't know, but I was just like, hey, you're losing strength. You're losing strength. He's like, I think I'm negative now. I was like, well, let's think about it. No, we think you're negative. We think you're 2. You're not negative yet. And then, so like they're just messed up, and they are kind of exploring. The Kennedy goes to the throne, finds some treasure, and then also finds a hidden switch on the throne to open a hidden door, and he throws it immediately. Well, that was a switch that goes to the final boss. Okay. So they didn't get didn't get a short rest between fighting all the shadows and fighting the Oni. And I had the
What level are they?
4.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I had the Oni.
How'd that Kona Cold go?
There's no Cone of Cold. Not in
What?
5.5. Nope.
What the?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Let me
Wait. What?
Let me pull up the stats real quick. Hold on. D&D Beyond. Be nice to me. So Oni. Let me get the Legacy one and the current one. So the current one has a claw attack, a nightmare rate attack, a shapeshift, and spellcasting where you can cast Charm Person, Darkness, Gaseous Form, and Sleep, and a bonus action invisibility. He makes two claw attacks or nightmare ray attacks per turn. You can replace one of those with a spell attack. And he can turn invisible as a bonus action. The old Oni had a claw, a glaive, had Charm Person, Cone of Cold, Gaseous Form, Sleep, Darkness, and Invisibility at will. Oh yeah, they just got rid of the Cone of Cold 100%, didn't they?
And his
Wow.
invisibility at will.
Well, he has bonus action invisibility in 5.5. So
Oh, of course he does, yeah.
So instead of taking an action, it's a bonus action, so he can get out there, attack, and then turn invisible, which was messing them up.
Yeah, I mean, and it should.
But yeah, that's actually cool.
Yeah, that almost makes up for the loss of the Cone of Cold, but honestly, the Cone of Cold was just... fighting one of these monsters. I remember fighting... there was a setup, I want to say, in AD&D 2nd Edition, Book of Lairs, where you end up getting ambushed by an Oni. And of course, you're going into this, like, 3rd or 4th level or something like that. And
you mean Ogre Magi?
Ogre Magi. Well, yeah, same thing.
I know.
But honestly, in Oriental Adventures, it was called Oni. The stats were the same. But I want to say that we got ambushed, and like the Oni led off. Of course, it's shape change into like a guard that has been survived his caravan being attacked or something like that, and he ends up getting in close enough to Cone of Cold the party. And I remember being like the dwarf fighter cleric, the only one still standing when the Cone of Cold hit, and I was like, oh my god. Because we were completely caught unawares, and Cone of Cold does massive damage in every edition, except apparently Oriental Adventures, where there's a misprint, and it only does like 15 points of damage.
Even in 5th edition, man, that is, for anyone that's not proficient in con saves, like your casters, that hits hard.
Yeah, 8d6 or 8d8.
I vividly remember this encounter because I was playing the dwarf. Like I said, I was playing the dwarf fighter cleric, and of course I had a high con, big sack of hit points, and I guess I made my save because I was a dwarf and had +5 to saves because I had like an 18 con or something like that. But I remember the only way I survived it was in 2nd edition. In the later portion of 2nd edition, at least, I guess, I don't know what book came out of Tome Magic maybe, but the withdraw spell. You guys remember that spell?
Nope.
Yeah. Essentially, you step outside of time as a cleric of some sort. It's basically a time stop just for you, but only to cast buffs and healing on yourself.
Okay.
It first appeared, I want to say, in 1st edition AD&D in Unearthed Arcana, but it reappears again.
In 2nd edition, I think you're right, I think it's Tome of Magic.
Yeah, but that's the only way I survived that because I had like 6 hit points left or something like that. I basically dumped all the curative, except for like 1 or 2 into myself, and then managed to get the fighter back up for us to finally go toe to toe with this guy. But I'm pretty sure we had to raise dead a couple of people. It was rough.
Yeah. So with our fight, the Oni kept basically popping out, doing his 2 attacks, and turning invisible, and it was not going well for them. They kept falling. The cleric was low on spells. And then, I swear to God, I didn't fudge these rolls at all. They were kind of like scrambling for ideas, and I asked one of the players, who's a drow, I was like, why haven't you used Fairy Fire on it yet? He's like, what? I was like, you get Fairy Fire. I think it's either 3rd or 5th level or something. He looked it up. It was 3rd. So he cast Fairy Fire on the Oni, and by God, the Oni has +0 to his dex. I failed every fucking roll over and over and over and over again. And it just stayed there, just lit up. So I couldn't go invisible again. He started taking the damage, and even though the fighter only had his 5 strength, he had a +1 greatsword that they had just found. So they were beating him to shit with that. The monk was just going to town. The cleric was barely staying alive. The fighter is an Eldritch Knight, so he basically burned through all of his shields and everything just to stay up. And I just I kept trying to hammer him to get this fairy fire off, and I could not hit him. And then when I did hit him, he just made his con save. So they were able to beat down the Oni. During the fight, one of the players actually ran away. Like he ran into the final boss room, found another secret door, took that, ran that down to its farthest conclusion, which opened up into another room that had an evil priest in there that was shapeshifted as a kidnapped maiden. And he basically got stuck in a zone of silence, and basically they just beat each other to death with staves. He actually won, oddly enough, which was quite hilarious. He beat a cleric with 22 AC with his staff to death, because the old book only has the cleric having like 9 hit points or something dumb like that.
He has a 22 AC and 9 hit points?
Sorry, she had 22 hit points. He hit her with Burning Hands, and she failed. Then she cast Silence. So the room was in silence. So it was just her with her mace, but with 0 strength, trying to hit him, and him with his staff. I guess you could still cast Shillelagh in silence, because it's just a somatic gesture. There's no verbal component to it. So he was just, or not Shillelagh, True Strike. So he was using a new True Strike because it's just somatic components, and trying to hit her with that. And eventually he hit her enough to kill her. He actually killed her with a crit, which was hilarious. Then they all got back, and the Oni's dead. The guy beat the evil priest up, and they take a short rest. They're like, okay, we got 2 more rooms to look at here. We got the Oni's head. That's the whole quest. So we could leave now, but let's open these last 2 doors before we leave. And behind one of the doors was the Kennedy X that they had abandoned during the Skeleton War months ago. And
I knew Kennedy wouldn't let me down.
So it was Kennedy X versus Kennedy 13, and these guys who were basically on a string of hit points left. And the Kennedy X, this was the one that had like you have 99 ability points to dole out wherever you want. And the guy did basically like 20 strength, 20 dex, 20 con right across the board. So it was like a superpower critter, but I didn't want to throw that at them. So I threw a Death Knight at them, but without any legendary actions or spells. So it was just a big brute with a sack of hit points. And he was doing like 25 damage a swing. I killed the cleric. He was bleeding out. I got the monk down. He was bleeding out. The mage ran back away to the mistress room because only he knew about it. And the fighter with the Oni head and the other Kennedy ran down the hallway while Kennedy X chased them. So then it came around to the cleric, and it was this final death save. Like, it was either make this one or die. Okay. And he decided to leave his fate to his dice. So he rolled the dice and he died. But at the beginning of the campaign, I had handed out everybody an emergency D20. It's a scratcher, okay?
Oh.
So when you scratch off this D20, you can basically use that result. And I said that they could, if they wanted to at any time, replace the roll that they just rolled with whatever that emergency scratcher was. And I'm doing that again for the next thing. I just bought them. They're coming in the mail. And he scratches off his emergency D20, and I shit you not, it was a fucking 20. So that brings the cleric back up at 1 hit point. He heals the monk, and they run away behind where Kennedy X is. Kennedy X is chasing Kennedy 13 out of the dungeon. The store was closing, so we had to, end the game there. So the game ended with only the fighter dying, Kennedy 13 running away with the Oni head, and the cleric, mage, and monk all getting away scot-free. The other table, I believe, had one person dying as well, too. And that's essentially the end of the campaign for Keep on the Borderlands. So that emergency D20 really did come in clutch for that.
See, I can't hear the term Kennedy X and not associate it with a guy with like a meat cleaver and a hockey mask.
That's exactly how I described him.
Yeah, I was just saying he's just power walking towards you with a fucking machete.
Yeah, that's exactly those were basically the stats. That's what I had in mind when I said, "Hey, this is a Death Knight with the hit points, but no spells, no legendary actions, just 3 attacks, dealing 25 damage on average a swing."
Yeah, that's significant for what level did you say they were?
4.
Oh God.
Yeah, and if you turn to run away, he gets the dimension door ahead of you somewhere.
So
that's a good level. That's where D&D's still good.
Yeah.
So just before Fireball hits is when it's still great. Or Fireball, and more importantly for 5e and 5e 5.5 or whatever. Revivify. God, man.
Yeah. So we're doing Temple of Elemental Evil next, which I think will be interesting.
Awesome.
I think what I'm going to do is once
because I think you're going to have a great time with that.
Did they? Is this like one of the like Goodman games like revived ones, or did? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I think I haven't read too much ahead of it yet, but I think what I'm going to do is like once they, do the intro quest and they get into the temple, just close the temple behind them, and then just choose what they're going to run.
You've got months of gaming ahead of you before you even get to the temple, bro.
No, we're going to do it a little faster.
Don't skip the village of Hamlet and the Moat House, man. The Moat House is one of the best parts of that adventure.
Oh no, yeah, we're doing that first.
Village of Hamlet is worthwhile for the setup, though.
Yeah, we gotta get it done before D&D Encounters kicks off officially in June.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a bad idea. There's something to be said for just saying, all right, guys, we're doing the Temple of Elemental Evil. The adventure is the dungeon. That's just what we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing the bit of the start and then going straight into the temple, and then making it see how far they can get.
Yeah, I know Caverns of Thracia. Like, there's a whole lot of adventuring just outside before you ever even find the thing.
Yeah, I want to do the intro very similar to how when we played Solasta and went through that way.
Yeah, and got our asses kicked by bats or whatever the fuck it was over and over again.
Yeah. So we're definitely looking forward to that. We all the DMs bought the Goodman Games book off of Amazon for $40. So
the one that fell off the back of a truck somewhere.
Yeah, that one. So we all have that to use as a reference. And I'll probably print on some maps or something like that.
Actually, I'll send you a link. There was one of the creators I follow on Patreon that just actually redid all of the maps in color.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, I'll definitely probably use that. But I just wanted to give an update for Adventures League because I'm really looking forward to D&D Encounters. I'm looking forward to running this. We got 2 tables, so it seemed to work out really well. It's like, hey, we got 2 groups essentially going off in different directions, trying to explore the temple. Have fun, explore it to your heart's content. Don't die, kind of thing.
Sure.
And we'll just see how it goes. I think it'll be fun.
Good time.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else before we get back to GaryCon and everything that's great about it?
No, let's do GaryCon Part 2, guys.
All right.
Are you still going to lead the discussion, Christian, and ask questions?
Oh man, I asked my question. Okay, I guess I am.
Well, you know the question you want to ask, so just Just ask. What was the most
No, I don't.
embarrassing part of Gary Con?
Oh, that is true. We didn't
Oh.
get to that. I do want to ask what your most embarrassing point was,
God,
because
yeah.
I heard off podcast some hints at it. You guys haven't told me the full story yet, and I definitely need to hear it. So
I kind of want to tell the story.
All right.
all right.
Okay, Jay, tell the story. So,
And feel free to chime in.
I will.
You too, Dan, because I know you'll have plenty to say about this. So we're playing the Kingdoms of Keshenar. Chris was running it, and mind you, fantastic module. The game was a hell of a lot of fun. I'm glad that we got to sit down and actually play it. So we're sitting down, and we've got a table of 7, maybe 8 people, I think it was. And
Yeah, it was a full table.
Yeah.
And then Chris is reading a description about an NPC that we came across.
Well, I think she's like the patron who's
Yeah,
I guess on the mission or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. The lady who's going to pay us. And as he's reading the description, it's something like, yeah, this lady, she obviously looks very old. She's at least 50. Or I think it was 50. She's at least 52.
I said it was the elder. It was the necromancer Shella, an elderly woman in her 50s.
Yes,
a senior citizen.
And I am trying to get Waples' attention because I'm sitting across the table from this nice lady who is giving Waples a fucking death glare when he's like this, and he's not picking up what I'm putting down, and he's not noticing what she's doing. Continue, Jay.
Yeah, and mind you, this lady was maybe in her 40s, so she's giving him that death glare. And mind you, she was never actually angry about any of this, but you could tell that she was going to have to respond to something of that nature. So then, I don't even remember where it went from there. Like,
I do.
Okay, good.
She actually paused Chris and asked him to repeat himself. And kind of define what elderly means, and he rereads like, oh yeah, like in her 50s, and then she snatched the description page out of Waples' hand, and then read it off, and noted, in fact, that Waples had added the age in the 50s there as far as how she's old, or perhaps the word elderly. I'm not sure which.
The word elderly, yes,
but it set her off even further.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it became a constant running joke over the course of that game, where we meet an NPC who's like 16, and they're obviously decrepit and old.
No, I think it was the next NPC of note that we met was the wizard or the cleric that teleported in on us in the ship.
Yeah,
and you described him as like a middle-aged guy, blah blah blah. Gives a description very Egyptian sounding. And everyone just kind of chuckles, like, what? It's like middle age, like what, like 16 or something?
But it became a continual running joke over the course of the game, and I'm glad it did.
And this lady was an absolute treasure, and the most embarrassing part is coming up here.
So we get to the last fight, and Chris kind of gives us a description of the room. He had a map, but the thing that was missing on the map was the table in the middle of the room. And the table, it was covered in body parts like arms and legs.
Yeah, and just to interject here, I will say that David had pulled out all the stops, and like he had 3D printed minis of most of the different species that you can be.
The rest of them showed up later in the last day. Too.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And there was also cloth printed maps of like the encounter locations.
Those were so cool, weren't they?
It's very cool, but the only issue, which is what prompted Waples to do what he did, was that you can't draw on the maps because they're not like, you can't use like a vis-a-vis on them and just like very quickly draw a table. You've got to like throw a prop or something out. So Waples is very resourceful. He pulls out a piece of his notebook paper and like kind of estimates the size of this large table and starts drawing on it. And he draws a bunch of, arms and legs and other limbs that have been stolen for whatever nefarious purposes that we're after this villain for. and he sets down the table. And
it took no time at all before the said lady that was the elderly lady from earlier commented that those are dicks.
And Wade Polsel gets real defensive. He's like, those aren't dicks. That's like a hand. That's an arm. He's like, that's clearly a dick with a scrotum. And it's like, that's not. He wrote on the table, wrote on the paper, hands and arms or something like that. And she's like, grabs it and looks at it. Is like, listen, I'm a middle school teacher. I know what boys draw. That's a bunch of dicks.
The best part is too is like I kept using that same prop over and over and over again.
Oh,
and
I know.
And I went back and like colored in like toes on the ones that kind of look too phallic, and it just made it worse.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was referred to as dick table over the course of the entire weekend.
Forever will it be called the dick table. In fact, I'm going to try to 3D print one for you. Next time, I'm just going to paint it perfectly for it. Yeah, we were playing a great game. It was a lot of fun. That lady never really got actually upset, but it was very funny, and he got very embarrassed by his drawing. One other great thing happened in that game. I was playing a Oath of Balance Paladin Soberkin, which is like a crocodile person, and we had another crocodile person in the party that was a fighter, and there was one big NPC that we were fighting, and it was like he hits us with like a wave of death or something like that.
Circle of death.
Circle of Death, something like that. And we're on level 8, but it did a significant amount of damage. And half the party was basically investigating a ship. The other half of the party was basically just putting a distraction up on shore. And then we figure out that there's a fight, so we join the party. But it's 3 rounds into the fight. So Jay and the fighter, and who else was with you, Jay?
Oh fuck, I have no idea.
Mage or something like that. Somebody else was with them, and like they were getting their asses handed to them because there's also some sort of weird tentacle monster there as well. And it's just the 3 of them versus these 2 things. And like whenever I guess the fighter opened up on this high level cleric, he hit him twice, and then he's like, I'm an action surge. Action surge hits him twice more, and like he's not even bloodied. And they were like, oh fuck, we're in trouble. So by the time we get down there, the rest of the group, 3 rounds late, I'm playing the paladin, and as I said, I was a person, and so is the fighter who has like a halberd or something like that. So the fighter sees me come down, and we had been joking about this earlier about death rolling crocodiles, because I guess Chris was describing like some crocodile person kids in the equivalent of the Nile finding body parts and just like chopping them in death roll, playing with stuff. So just going with this theme, we the fighter these people have a bite attack as one of their special abilities for the species. So he attacks with his halberd, hits him. I think he trips him. And then he bites him and grapples him, and then he uses his second wind to move half his speed, because that's what you can do in 5.5, little bonus for fighters, which then moves up to where I am with a ready to action, who then bites him in return and smites him through my bite for a crit. So we death roll, turn and rip this guy apart. It was a great time. And also my paladin's name was Sir Bite Or. FYI.
Yeah. So it was pretty solid, and no one else the entire weekend even thought about doing a death roll with the gator. One person brought it up, but then was like, nah, whatever.
That was like one of the first things I thought about. I was like, oh man, I gotta get something with this thing.
I mean, yeah, I turned into a crocodile in Pirate Borg, and the first thing I tried to do was gator roll somebody. That's what you do.
And you managed to kill Chris very quickly.
It seemed like a natural response.
Yeah, that's what you do. It's just what you do.
So yeah, that was quite embarrassing for me that first game, but it got the nerves out. And like I said, all the other ones went great. I mean, they all went great. It was a good time. The
Well,
only
it's
thing I
good
was
that it happened while all of like the game that all your friends are there in.
yeah,
Yeah.
not like some other game.
Well, since you mostly ran a bunch of games, Chris, how did the rest of the Keshenar games that you ran go?
Except for the game that I explained in part one of our review.
Right.
They all kind of went off swimmingly. No issues really anywhere. I mean, not to say it was uneventful. It was a lot of fun. I know that one of the DMs was pitching the setting to everyone that ran it, and basically told them to, if they bought the book, to let them know that it was his game that inspired them to buy the setting. And he sold like 26 books over the weekend. So he was definitely a better salesman than I was. I was just running the game. So I probably should have been, trying to pitch the game too. But like I said, it was a lot of fun, and it was quite an experience. I would definitely do it again if given the opportunity. So
next year you're gonna be running a bunch of Keshenar again?
hire me, yeah.
I hear he
Maybe.
might be running it for free RPG Day. We'll see.
For free RPG Day, it's going to be Pirate Borg, for sure.
You're going to run Pirate Borg?
Being that they are in free RPG Day this year, and they bought the biggest, like every box has like a certain amount of like space you can buy, and that's divided up by tiers. And there's like usually one that's always like the biggest tier of the box. And Pirate Borg bought that in there. So they have like 10 Pirate Borg pamphlets. So Pirate Borg is going to be a big part of the thing this year. And it's easy to run with a bunch of new players, some modules, a newer one.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can roll up a character in all of 5 minutes and it has all the information you need to create the said character on the sheet is just fantastic.
Yeah, Pirate Borg's a lot of fun. It's one of my games that when I'm not running games, it's one I want to play a campaign of.
Yeah. Now that I actually have the book and I've been reading through it, I really kind of want to run this game, even if it's just one shots. Like it's super simple and quick and easy to make it happen.
Yeah,
and what's great about it is that if your character dies, it doesn't feel bad because another pirate immediately shows up to take his place.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the only thing. Like, I wouldn't say it's a criticism, but it's the only thing I would say about Pirate Borg is that like it does feel like something that I can't run a campaign in because it's so. Like Shadow Dark, you can run a campaign with it. People die a lot. I don't think your characters survive in Pirate Borg long enough to level up. I don't know.
I
think they do.
disagree. I think you can run a campaign in Pirate Borg. I think the way you do it is similar to the way I am doing it in Shadow Dark, is where you build like, hey, we are telling the story of this pirate ship and its crew. I think your character will level up, but I do think you will also they'll frequently die off.
Yeah,
I think you'll have many more deaths than you'll have in a standard D&D game, but I also think that as characters get more hit points and your sorcerers and zealots get more powers and abilities, healing becomes more frequent. It's not going to be like the one shots you play at a convention.
Yeah,
but that's like to me that's like the best selling point of Pirate Borg. It's just like, hey, you got 30 minutes, let's play some Pirate Borg. There's no deep story connection because you roll that shit up and then like, okay, we're gonna go through this temple real quick, guys. Let's see what's there. It's like there probably is definitely ways of doing it, like Christian said, but I think that's just the best part about it is that it's so quick.
That's
Yeah.
definitely one of the selling points. All right, well, back to Gary Con. I know some of the others had some more stories to tell about Gary Con. So,
I need to hear Dan's version of the Indiana Jones game that he got to play in. I got
Oh,
it.
man.
I got Rob's version of it, but I have not heard your side of this thing.
yeah, I haven't heard either. So, yeah, tell me about Indiana Jones with Harold Johnson.
So Harold Johnson is a storyteller, man. He does not stop talking. And he has a story about everything. I kid you not. We probably didn't begin actually gaming until an hour and a half after the start time. And it wasn't because like we were familiarizing ourselves with the system. The system's super easy. It was because he was just telling stories. And we got to hear a story about how it was that TSR ended up with the license for Indiana Jones, despite the fact that Steven Spielberg fucking hated them. We found out that if you dig deep in the copyright archives, that Lucasfilm, they copyrighted or possibly trademarked the word Nazi because of Indiana Jones in their Indiana Jones film. I'm kidding you not.
What?
I'm not joking. You could look it up.
How
But
do you?
so I don't know if you guys are familiar. I mean, labels you might not be, but Jay, you probably remember. Spielberg did a TV series, way back in the '80s called Amazing Stories.
Yeah. So one of the funniest cartoons ever made came out of Amazing Stories, called The Family Dog. Fucking look it up and watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So he so Carol Johnson begins his story about how TSR ends up with the Indiana Jones by talking about, hey, one day after work, he managed to talk most of the people at work to go down to the local theater to go see this movie that stars Harrison Ford. And most people at this point had seen Star Wars, but some people still recognize him from other films at this point. But he managed to get like all of TSR to go down there to watch Indiana Jones: The Raiders of the Lost Ark, and everyone for a while there was very excited about it, and they tried desperately to try to get this licensing because they thought it'd be just a great selling point to make a game, either if not a board game, an actual role playing game out of Indiana Jones, and it turns out, like, I guess the lawyers and the bigwigs at TSR had somehow pissed in Steven Spielberg's Cheerios, but when trying to acquire maybe the Star Wars license, which then ended up going to West End Games in the '80s. But what ends up happening is that those same bigwigs and lawyers find out that that Spielberg's trying to license and make a board game out of Amazing Stories. Unfortunately, TSR had already made a board game unrelated, but copyrighted and trademarked. So
Called Amazing Stories. You kind of cut out there.
Yeah, it was also called Amazing Story.
Okay, all right.
So he basically brainstorms, and the lawyer comes back and says, Harold was the mark at Sarth.
Oh, yeah, you're hold on, Dan. You're starting to break up here.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's just every so often you're like last time you used this mic.
So Harold Johnson was the marketing director at TSR at the time, and he had done some writing. He'd done A Hidden Temple of Temo-Shan. He had done a couple of other things with Zeb, but he primarily wasn't writing at this time. He was just kind of to get more properties and things for TSR.
Yeah, Dan, just we're gonna pause right here. Swap your mic. It's
Okay.
It's just breaking up.
All right, hold on.
Do 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 do.
You said doo doo.
I did.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Other mic went down. Lame.
Yeah. Let's start with. Let's go back to
Harold
them.
Johnson, being the marketing director.
Yeah, just talk
yeah.
the amazing stories board game.
Yeah.
So Spielberg apparently wanted to make an Amazing Stories board game, but TSR had beaten them to the punch with something completely different, unrelated to his actual Amazing Stories property, but it was already a licensed game. So Lucasfilm and Spielberg's lawyers got together with TSR's lawyers, and they basically started hashing things out, and whether they're going to Spielberg's just going to pay TSR to make use of the license, or if they wanted to just trade something. And so the lawyers come up to Harold Johnson and is like, hey, what would you want to trade? What would you want to get from Lucasfilm and Spielberg for the use of the Amazing Stories license? And Harold Johnson, without even missing a beat, is like, Indiana Jones. And the lawyer chuckles like, I'll see what I can do. And he comes back like an hour later, is like, we got it. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yes, we got it. But there's caveats. And the caveats, the caveats are interesting. So whenever they first wrote up the contract, they could only write an RPG, but the RPG had to only focus on official licensed Spielberg and Lucasfilm Indiana Jones stories. So at the time, that only meant Temple of Doom and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, that's it. If the characters did not appear in those and the stories did not appear in those, they couldn't write anything. And they were kind of disappointed by that, and they tried to argue the point. And eventually, the TSR lawyers came back and said, "Okay, we got a little bit extra. You can do any of the stories from the comic books too, but you're still limited to the characters from the movies for player characters." Like, okay, we can work with that. So apparently, Zeb Cook, who was the chief designer at TSR at the time, had already written a game for Pulp Heroes that was published in Dragon Magazine, which Harold and him just basically sat down over a weekend and adapted to Indiana Jones. And the only characters that are available that you can obviously play Short Round, you can play Indiana Jones, obviously, you can play Willie Scott, you can play Jock, you can play, what should I call it, Wuhan from Temple of Doom, who ends up dying within the first 20 minutes. But you can play him, and he's like a master of disguise sort of guy. And you can play Sala. Nobody played Marcus Brody at our table, and I assume you could play Marcus Brody. Marcus Brody was actually basically like the guy that sent us on our adventure. But yeah, basically you have like 9 characters you can play, and that's it. Harold, you know.
Wait. About Short Round.
Yeah, I said Short Round. I said Short
Okay.
Round. So Harold had everybody roll off, and I rolled low, and Harold was looking for low because Indiana Jones is the opposite of the way most RPGs work. Rolling low is better. So I got to be Indiana Jones, which was fantastic. And I got the compliment at the end of it saying, I think you're one of the best Indiana Jones I've ever had in my games. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. But the adventure we ended up going on, which was interesting because the day before had played in Mike Merles' game, Caverns of Thracia. Obviously, there's a big Minotaur on the front cover of the Caverns of Thracia. You end up fighting a Minotaur. And I did not expect a Minotaur in Indiana Jones, but that's just what we got eventually. But most of the gaming and most of the craziness ends up happening on a ship that we're steaming across the Mediterranean to the Aegean to go investigate a site that Marcus Brody sent me to go investigate about some sort of ancient artifacts that are basically being stolen by somebody else. Spoilers, Nazis. And we're going to go to find this stuff, but all these characters, some of which that at the time period that this is happening, Indiana Jones has not met yet. So he hasn't met Wuhan. He hasn't met Willie Scott yet. Marion's there, but they're on a break. around there, and for whatever reason, we just decided, yeah, we're friends still. And Jock is basically just a complete womanizer and acting like he has all the credentials that Indiana Jones has. And I'm just backing him up. it's the entire time. So the entire thing was leading to us finding that the ship that we're riding in is as some guys from Crete on it and some guys from Germany on it, and they both are in cahoots to try to get to the heart of the labyrinth to find the Philosopher's Stone, because the Philosopher's Stone will turn whatever it touches into gold. So,
Nazi gold.
Nazi gold, of course. So it was sort of a mix of mythologies, which was really interesting because I knew enough about the mythology of the Minotaur, Knossos, Daedalus, Icarus, and everything else that I could riff pretty easily and bullshit what I didn't know. So it was a lot of fun, and since we only actually ended up playing for maybe 2 hours, like we didn't actually get to Crete and go through Knossos, but Harold described what would have happened, and essentially we would end up having to fight the Minotaur to get to the Philosopher's Stone because it's Indiana Jones. He doesn't believe in the supernatural, but it sure shit believes in him.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was a fantastic game. It was a lot of fun, and just hearing him tell old stories about TSR, and it wasn't even just the old stories about TSR, just like people come to him all the time asking him to write stuff or bounce ideas off of him or want to do a Kickstarter with him or something like that. So he's like, oh yeah, this guy came up to me last year at a con, asked me to write something for Kickstarter, but they didn't really want to pay exactly what I wanted them to pay, but wanted me to pay. So we broke it off, but I kept on writing. So I have like actually 23 chapters of a campaign setting that I've been working on. I don't know if I'm actually going to get it published. It just keeps on talking about all the stuff that he's designed. I'm like, the guy's like nonstop, always telling stories, and it's always going into his designs. It was a great time.
That's
That's how I
fantastic.
die.
And honestly, the simplicity of the Indiana Jones TSR system. I haven't played the West End Games one, but the TSR system, it was very pulpy. It was very easy. Essentially, you had statistics for I think 5 ability scores that were between 1 and 100. Most people averaged between 60 and say 80 or so. And if you rolled under half, you could do an easy task. If you roll under your ability score, you could do a normal task. If it's or I'm sorry, getting that wrong. Yeah, so if you roll half your ability score, it's like a difficult task. If you roll your ability score, it's a normal task. Double your ability score, it's a really easy task, et cetera, and so on. There's no skills or anything like that. It's just you have ability scores. You don't really have any special abilities so much as you just have equipment that you can use, and it's just more. It's pulpy. It's just role playing for the sake of role playing, and combat is just a kind of a secondary thing.
Yeah, it sounds. I like Rob told me the whole story because he was playing Willie.
Yeah.
And just he told me a lot of what you have explained, and it just sounds so weird and so much fun.
Yeah, it was a great time. It's definitely one of those games that you could easily just pick up one of the modules and just run it, and you'd be just fine. Everyone, and it's so simple. You don't have to explain things to people. People have seen Indiana Jones. They know how these characters act. There's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good time. I think everybody would have a good time playing it. I still can't find a copy of the damn game, but I'll keep looking.
Yeah. I mean, if it's there on eBay, I'm sure if you want to pay up for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
$8,000
for it. Sure.
All right. What else we want to talk about?
We did go to the Gygax Memorial reception at the Geneva Lake Museum when we first got there. We actually raced from the airport to get there. That was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got to meet a whole bunch of people who had donated to the Gygax Memorial, which just broke ground, and there are some grumpy Dungeon Master dice in the frozen ground of Lake Geneva.
Yay.
Yay. It's nice. As soon as we got there, we got greeted by Heidi Gygax and her husband Eric. Talked about their game. That God, I'm completely blanking on the name of their game.
Dragon Derby.
Yeah, there it is.
Dragon Derby. So Dragon Derby, which I had actually played the night before with my son, who. So essentially, you're racing dragons around a board game, and you're the wizards that are betting on which dragon's going to win. So you're wizards, so you're assholes. So there's a deck of cards that's all a bunch of different spells you can cast, but it's all random. It's all wild magic. So okay, the white dragon swap places with the red dragon. Okay, I'm just going to cheer this round so the dragons move forward. Okay, I'm going to cast wild magic again. Okay, the bridge goes out, and now the dragons have to fly around this way instead. Okay, pull another one. Okay, so the dragon gets disintegrated. Okay, it's just out of the game now. Now pull another wild card, and this is what happened to me: was that if you roll a d6, or if you roll a 1 through 3, you've been disintegrated. That's what my son did to me right before we left for the
Jesus.
con. Yeah, it's like, yep, it was a good time.
Yeah.
I also got to play Ragnaborg, which would highly recommend. It is compatible with Pirate Borg if you want those Norse vibes when doing piracy. It's definitely something that you could get involved with. I played a game called Gauntlet of the Gods, which was a level 0 funnel. We very quickly made 4 random Ragnaborg characters in the vein of Pirate Borg or any of the other Borgs if you ever played them. No class yet because, well, we're level 0. And we basically get thrown into a dungeon and have to surmount this dungeon as our level 0 characters. And the story of Ragnaborg is Ragnarok has come. Everyone has their own story of Armageddon, but in this certain world, the Norse mythology was correct. So
I mean, it is.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So we get into this Gauntlet of the Gods, and the first thing we have to deal with is a puzzle to try to get into the door, and it's like there's 5 cups and 3 slots for the cups, and the 5 cups have the runes for Loki, Hel, Thor, Tyr, and Odin. So we're like, okay, well, Loki and Hel aren't on the side of us, so let's go ahead and put the other 3 in there. Okay, the door opens. Great. Go into the room. It's big hallway opens up filled with spider webbing. We're like, oh, I guess we start cutting the webbing down. One person actually had a torch, so we start trying to burn it down, and we get jumped by giant spiders, and then a bunch of baby spiders. We promptly lose several characters. Continue moving on. We're like, okay, we have to open this door. We figure out a puzzle with some runes. Open the door, and behind the door are 3 fire elementals, and we're like, oh my god, we are level 0 with 1 sword and a spade between us. What are we supposed to do? And we're like, okay, looking at our characters. Hey, we have a water skin. Let's put out the fire with the water skin, and that actually worked. It had 3 shots of the water skin each time that we could do it. Again, lost some characters, but you know what? You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Continue on and end up fighting a stone golem statue of a giant, which we again creatively took out by one of the characters ended up with a sack as his backpack for carrying stuff, and he's like, can I jump off of this ledge over here and put a sack over the thing's head so it can't see us? The DM's like, yeah, sure, make me an agility test. Rolls it, succeeds. Okay, yeah, you can't see, get roll with disadvantage whenever it just tries to hit you, or its DR's increased or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I've got a shitload of rope as my randomly rolled equipment on this character. Can I AT-AT this motherfucker? And the DM's like, you can try. Made a roll. Got it around once. Made the thing fall over and hurt itself whenever it fell over, and everybody starts just beating on the fucking stone column. It was just creative ways to tackle adventurer-sized problems as level 0 shitheads. We're all farmers and like honeybee keepers and shit like that. Like none of us have a skill between us, and most of us have like negatives to our stats. So I ended up getting out of this thing with one character, one of my 4 characters still alive. Steve, our buddy Steve, ended up with I think 2 characters alive still, but most people end up with just one. But whenever you roll a natural 20 in Ragnaborg, unlike the other Borgs, if the whole table like reacts with "Yay, violence!" You get to roll on another table where something else happens, where like either you get an extra attack, or you do extra damage, or blood splatters in the guy's eyes, or something like that. And it's just a really nice table. I didn't get to see it, but she said that that there's an additional ash table, very much like Pyroborg, which is again how you can tie it into Another part of the way you can tie it into Pyroborg and Ash is in Pyroborg. If you're not familiar with it, is basically a supernatural drug created from the ground up bones of the undead. I'm not sure if that's how you make it in Ragnaborg, but it's there, and it basically makes you a super berserker if you roll high, and maybe I don't know. In a vegetative state if you roll low, or maybe a crocodile. I don't know. It's hard to know. But it was a lot of fun. We didn't actually end up getting our classes, but we did kind of go over with the DM what we would have gotten at the end of it. Like there's like the Oracle, which is what the person who ended up finding the thing at the end got, which I think was basically since the sun has been destroyed, we found some sort of flame to bring back to our village to bring light to it or something like that. And there's a shield maiden, which isn't necessarily a woman. It's just the fighter, the main fighter type. And I didn't quite hear about it when I was at the game, but I did read up on it afterwards on the Ragnaborg on an interview with Erica Lowe, the creator. Apparently, one of the things in Ragnaborg is when you die, it's not just like Pyroborg where you grab another character and you're like, hey, I'm another pirate in the crew. There's additional steps when you die, and you get basically determine whether you go to hell, HEL, or whether you're going to Valhalla, and basically you get to determine and roll whether your ancestors judge you worthy to proceed to Valhalla or not. And what's exactly on the table, I can't say because I don't have a copy of the game, but it just seems like a very cool concept that your journey doesn't necessarily end, and maybe you become some sort of Valkyrie or the equivalent thereof that could be helping out your descendants later or something like that. But it was a great time, and it was. We've done a couple of level 0 funnels at GaryCon already. The DCC one was terrible, but it wasn't because of DCC. It was definitely because of the DM. The Shadowdark one was okay. It was fine. I don't know that I want to play Shadowdark at level 0, but the Ragnaborg one was fantastic. Highly recommend.
Oh, if you guys happen to TPK on my Shadowdark game, I have a gauntlet for you.
Well, I'm excited.
Kicked back on.
Shit, I'm sure Coham right now is thinking of ways to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
He will never die.
Never die, McLeod. And the last game that I'll mention is I ended up playing Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords by Alan Hammock, with Alan Hammock at the Geneva Lake Museum and the big gaming table in the middle of the Wizard of Lake Geneva exhibit, which in and of itself was fantastic. And everybody I got to play with was very enthusiastic to be there and very excited to be there. I just rolled like absolute dog shit, like I do, the entire session.
You rolled like Dan.
Rob was sitting next to me, our buddy Rob was sitting next to me, and he was roll average, and like I'm playing some sort of fighter, and I need to roll like I don't know a 7 to hit anything, and I'm rolling everything but that. Natural 1, 2 or 3 times within the course of like 3 rounds. I don't even know. Just had the worst luck ever. But it was a lot of fun, and we got to see how he would have run it at a tournament. In fact, when we got to the final portion of the assault on the area of the slave lords when you actually confront the slave lords. Which, by the way, on the way there was yet another Minotaur, which I just found very strange. There's a Minotaur that's like hunting you and popping in and out of the labyrinth as you're getting towards where the slave lords are located, popping you with like a crossbow or something. I don't know. It's weird. I don't recall that from the one time I've played the module before. But whenever we encounter the slave lords, as written, like in the published module that you can buy from, old on eBay or whatever at this point, or Drive-Thru RPG, it's not exactly the way that it was presented to us at this game that we played at GaryCon, because Alan like pauses, like, okay, you've encountered the slave lords. Do you guys want the competition ending, or do you want the published TSR ending? And everyone's like, oh, the competition ending. And we're like, okay. So what happens is, essentially, you have a semicircle. You come upon this big chamber, and you have a semicircle of these slave lords that you've been hunting for the entire series of modules, and you're about to confront them. And when you get into the room, as soon as you walk in, a wall of stone or a big slab of stone slams behind you, and you very quickly realize you can't speak because you're in a silence. So you try to charge the slave lords, and you run into a wall of force. And then something opens in the ceiling, and gas starts coming down. The game is over. There's no way you can get out of it.
Huh.
It's absolutely impossible. He's like, and that is the end of that. He's like,
Wow.
yeah. And he basically said, I had to have basically a TPK at the end of it because there was a time limit, and everyone had to basically end at the same point if they get that far in order to score all the points. But obviously, whenever the editors looked at it, like, we can't do that at the end of this module. They're like, okay, well, we'll alter it. And I think they got rid of the wall of force, but everything else is pretty much the same. So essentially, all the slave lords have a slow poison on, so they're not affected by the gas. So you end up having to fight them in the gas. That's basically, it's not killing you; it's just putting you to sleep. For them to, of course, enslave you for the beginning of the next module.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be able. You definitely wouldn't be able to write that ending into a module that you're selling, simply because players will want to implement this thing into their campaigns or some shit like that. And that just wouldn't fly.
No, it wouldn't.
Shit. Spoilers for my next tournament module.
I mean, yeah, spoilers for a 45-year-old tournament module, I guess.
No, I mean, that's when I run my next tournament. It's going to be a giant gas pit.
Yeah.
Gas pit. Well, it's a good way to end it. I found it very funny, actually. Both Harold Johnson and Alan Hammock said something very similar, and both Rob and I picked up on this whenever we were gaming, because we're both in these games together back to back. So, somebody had asked Harold Johnson about the hidden shrine of Tamoshan, and he's like, so what prompted you to write that? And he's like, well, I was hanging out with my friends, and I was at Gen Con, I don't know, like 6 or something like that, and somebody had written a competition module, and just like, it was just bad. Like, there's a lot of things about it that were just wrong, or things that I wouldn't have done, and he tried to offer polite commentary to the DM, but the DM kind of flipped it on him. Was like, well, see if you can fucking do better. So Harold then goes off and gets hired by Gary Gygax, and he, in fact, does better. And Alan had a very similar story, saying, oh, yeah, I was like, Gen Con 10 or something like that, and, it was just a really crappy competition module. I was like, I can do fucking better than this. And then he turns around and, of course, writes the Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords, which was a competition module. So I found it very interesting that it was both of them were like, this fucking module sucks. I'm going to make something better than this.
Nice.
I guess that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
You get told that, or you just, I mean, honestly, that is kind of how things sometimes work, is you see something and you're like, I can do this.
I can do that better than that. Come on.
And and then you do it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We're getting a little closer to an hour. We're at an hour. I want to cover one last thing because it leads into the one last thing you guys want to talk about for the GaryCon. I got a chance to sit in one of Ed Greenwood's conferences where he talked about one of his next many new projects called Realms Bound. and essentially what it is they're updating the Dale lands to 1501 DR to kind of keep it in line with the current 5.5e setting. The company that's running it is it Mythmaker? Yeah, Mythmaker. Eric Menji is the creative director. He was at the panel. He did Adventures League and stuff like that. So definitely trying to get him on the podcast. Ask him what the hell went wrong. And they got a lot of old, or not really old, but a lot of 5th edition writers and 4E writers to kind of come in and
Like in
update
their
all the
50s?
Yeah, shut up. God damn it. I'm not going to leave this down.
Nope, you're not.
I'm really excited for that. And while that module, or while that thing was happening, was when I guess the new announcement came out about one of D&D's next upcoming books, which is... What do you guys can say?
Greyhawk.
Melf's Guide to Greyhawk.
Yep.
Now, I don't know anything about Greyhawk. I don't know anything about the Dale lands.
But who is Melf?
I don't know.
It's some sort of male elf, I think.
Male elf, yeah, named Melf. So I'm actually quite looking forward to both of these. First off, because I have no information about the Dale lands at all. I know it's a big part of a lot of the books, and a lot of Ed's settings is in the Dale lands.
That's because that Elminster
Yeah.
dwells in his tower in Shadowdale.
Yeah, if you want to know about the Dale lands, just go look at all the 2nd edition stuff about the Dale lands.
There is a lot of stuff out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Written by
But
Fruit, of course.
they're making a huge effort to update it. And one of the funny things that they said or one of the questions that popped up is like, what happens if WotC goes and tries to update the Dale lands? And they said, well, because we publish on DM's Guild, technically they own the IP and everything, so it's theirs. They can do what they want with it, and whatever canon that they state is the canon that is the proper canon. Ed is second, and then I was like, no, whatever Ed says is the canon. WotC can say whatever the hell they want. If Ed says the sky is purple in the Forgotten Realms, the sky is fucking purple in the Forgotten Realms. There's
yeah.
They can't overwrite that.
So Takesis and Tiamat are different. Got it. Thanks.
Nope.
No, because they said that it's the same. But anyways, I'm looking forward to it because I don't know anything about the Dale lands. I think it's gonna be fun to kind of get into a new part of the Forgotten Realms I don't know. I'm not that I'm tired of the Sword Coast, but
we're tired of the Sword Coast.
We're tired of the Sword Coast. Don't even start.
The Dale lands, you'll enjoy, Chris. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in the Dale lands. I really like that part of the Forgotten Realms.
The 1st edition, and we need to get back to the Moonsea and Zentil Keep and
the moon. Oh yeah,
Yufron and of course, Molemaster.
Cormyr. Don't forget.
Cormyr has its purple dragon knights. That
who ride purple dragons, of course. Yes.
As it is known.
It is well known about the purple dragons.
I did find out that along with Melf's Guide to Greyhawk, they are releasing the what's it called? The Legend of Greyhawk campaign modules that they run. Very similar to how like Adventure League has like the characters you carry over and over. The Legends of Greyhawk was the same thing, but it was just convention only. That wasn't going off at stores at all. But they did basically say at this con that those modules will be published on DM's Guild here this year. So
I did hear something else related to that, and maybe I don't know if you guys heard this, but I read somewhere, and I'll have to track down the article, that they are actually going to run and publish in both physical and digital actual modules again. And by that I mean small modules that are meant to be the kind of the way that Gygax used to publish something that you could grab and insert into your campaign.
Campaign. Fantastic.
You mean like the way I've been saying they should go back to doing, like they did in
We
fourth
all
edition?
we all
mean,
have, yeah.
Literally everybody has.
With the current guy that's the head of that division in WotC, I mean, maybe. I'm definitely not holding my breath that they do that,
Yeah.
but maybe.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic from Melf's guide with Luke involved. I think that's really cool. I'm not really in the market for 5th edition stuff, but if Luke is putting out a book
Oh,
for that,
yeah. I mean,
I may be up for that.
there's already the cover art of Melf's Guide to Greyhawk that was done by Jeff Easley. And
Which is
the
cool.
original art went to Vince Vaughn for $5,000 at the Gary Con charity auction. By the way,
I would have happily paid $5,000 for a fucking Easley.
I
But-
feel like Vince Vaughn would outbid you, dude.
I'm sure he would have. I have no doubt about that. But the fact that it went that low and that a Braum went for $2,000.
Braum went for $2,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh yeah.
No.
We got to see.
That-
I think
that
to
is-
see the new Braum, Christian. It was good, but it was like a sketch of an artifact. I actually was much more of a fan of the Errol Otis art that went for even less. It went for hundreds.
Okay,
instead.
so it wasn't a painting; it was a sketch.
It was more of
Yeah.
a sketch. Yeah, the
Oh,
Easley
okay,
was definitely a painting.
Yeah.
But the Braum one
makes-
was just a sketch.
That
Yeah.
makes sense then why I went for lower. Yeah, I'm still of the mind of like I know they're gonna butcher Dark Sun later in the year and it's gonna be
Yeah.
terrible. But if Braum is doing the art for it,
I'll still buy it.
I will probably get it just for that, the same way I
Yeah.
did with Planescape, just because Tony DiTerlizzi did the art on the collector's edition.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Tony DiTerlizzi, those of you in the southeast, he is going to be at Dragon Con this year for Labor Day. If you guys want to go get his autograph,
That is
And
really
he's-
tempting.
he's actually at Magic Con this weekend. I think too.
He is actually my favorite fantasy artist.
I love his stuff too.
Yeah, his stuff's great.
Let's also talk about the most insulting bid that happened at Gary Con this year, which was
Oh.
the amount of money that they paid to have Ed Greenwood DM a game for you versus the money that Kelsey Dion, a fantastic D&D DM, not mocking her at all, but why did Ed's I'm going to DM a game for you only go for 500 and Kelsey's go for 1,500?
So caveat to that, it's not actually Ed DMing. It's his friend that he podcasts with, and it's a Greyhawk game that you're playing with Ed Greenwood. You're not actually in a game
So?
being run by Ed Greenwood.
It's also
that's a big difference.
That is a big difference
Huge.
because if it was Ed running his game in his world of the Forgotten Realms, that's way different than he's just kind of showing up and playing in a game that somebody else is running.
Yeah.
It's still cool to play with him. Still
Yeah.
awesome. It would be a cool
Well,
opportunity.
one of the
but I would
coolest-
love to hear Ed tell his own stories in his own world and be in that game, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, I would love to just be a fly on the wall for one of those games. I mean, I don't mind Elminster showing up when it's fucking Ed Greenwood.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
I do whenever he's like the Deus Ex Machina for, oh, yeah, by the way, you guys are all in limbo now, and Elminster's there and be like, oh, of course I saved you because you guys are the heroes of the realms. No, I don't want that. I want Ed to explain to me something with it like an ecology style diatribe and then leave.
Yeah, and if you follow Ed on Patreon or YouTube, he puts out in-depth lore videos on the Forgotten Realms on the most minute of topics. Like he knows that stuff.
Like the
in and out.
clothing that certain kingdoms were wearing during certain time periods. I've watched a lot of his stuff, and it's in depth about shit you will never need to know.
But if you wanted to, it's there.
Yeah. Oh,
But
it's
if you
great.
wanted to, and it's there, and it's awesome that he has just all of this in his head about how the Forgotten Realms works.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest Forgotten Realms fan, but I love hearing Ed talk about his crew, his work, and his stuff. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right. Any last things before we go into the
Yeah.
final topic of Matt
Oh,
Mercer?
so yeah, what are you going to ask Matt Mercer when you go to MomoCon?
Well, I'm definitely going to ask him what his top 10 list of ways to TPK a party is for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, sure.
Yeah, but I do have his top 10 list for DM tips that you need to use in all your games from here on out because Matt Messer is the god of DMing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Craig's
Brendan
still
Lee
here?
Mulligan's got nothing on this man. All right.
I don't know about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, Brendan Lee Mulligan only has a top 5 list.
He's the
Okay.
he's the demigod of DMing.
Oh my god.
All right. Go ahead and
All right.
start with the top 10
All right.
list.
So number 10, whenever